Discover a new way of sewing with your new PFAFF Expression 2024 or 2014 sewing machines. A new generation of innovative sewing machines. This video was created to guide you step by step through the wonderful world of sewing on your new PFAFF sewing machine. For the purposes of this instructional video, the Expression 2024 will be featured. Any differences in stitches or capabilities between the 2024 and 2014 will be shown using each machine. To easily refer back to specific video segment, reset your VCR counter to 0 before starting to play. As a segment begins, note the counter number and technique being explained. To review a specific video segment, simply rewind or fast forward to the setting. Now, let's get sewing. Set up your expression by unwinding the cord of your foot control. Place the foot control on the floor. Plug the main power cord and foot control into the base on the right side of your machine. The on-off switch is located next to the foot control plug. Turn on your Expression sewing machine. Open your stitch lid by placing your thumb or finger under the lip at one corner and lift. Place an empty bobbin on the bobbin winder, aligning the small rectangular hole on one side of the bobbin with the small pin on the bobbin winder. Included with your machine are 3 different spool caps to accommodate any type of thread spool. Choose a spool cap the same size or slightly larger in diameter than the spool. For example, use the large spool cap for larger spools of thread and the small cap with smaller spools. Place your thread on the spool pin. Slide the cap snugly against the spool, making sure the flat side of the cap is toward the spool. Using both hands, place the thread into the first silver guide from front to back. Bring thread counter clockwise around the pre-tension guide. Place the thread under the silver guide near the bobbin winder. Wrap the thread tail clockwise around the bobbin. Push the bobbin to the right. Step on the foot control to begin winding. When the bobbin is full, the winding will stop automatically. The swing-away accessory tray pivots to the left to allow you to open the bobbin door. It can also be easily removed for free arm sewing. To remove, simply lift up the tray. To replace, gently align the small peg with the hole on the machine's base. Remove the bobbin case from your expression. Insert the full bobbin in the bobbin case. Pull the thread sideways into the slot on the side of the bobbin case, then under the tension spring. Hold the bobbin case so the bobbin is facing you. Pull the thread, making sure the bobbin turns clockwise. You should feel tension on the thread. Hold the latch on the bobbin case and insert into the machine with the large opening pointing up. Give the thread a slight tug to make sure the bobbin case is securely inserted. To thread your new PFAFF Expression sewing machine, raise the presser foot to release the thread tension. Using both hands, slide the thread under the first guide from front to back. Bring the thread around the back of the small tension spring, making sure the thread is pulled fully under this spring. Guide thread down into the left thread slot on either side of the tension disc. Bring thread up into the right thread slot to the take-up lever. Pull the thread into the take-up lever from left to right, making sure it is pulled fully forward into the small hole at the front of the lever. Bring the thread down once again to the guides directly above the needle. Pull the thread behind one of the two thread guides. Now, you're ready to thread the needle. Use the integrated needle threader to automatically thread the needle for you. Lower your presser foot. Press the needle threader down with the handle. The threader hook will swivel into the needle's eye. Bring the thread around the toe of the needle threader and under the hook. Continue to hold the end of the thread. Decrease the pressure of your finger so the needle threader slowly releases and begins to move upward. At the same time, the threader hook will swivel out of the needle eye and pull a thread loop through the eye. Release the threader and pull the thread through the eye. To bring up the bobbin thread, hold the needle thread. Turn the hand wheel toward you one full revolution. This will bring the bobbin thread up from the bobbin area. Raise your presser foot. Using your needle thread, pull up the bobbin thread. Place the threads under the presser foot and to the back of the machine, or bring up your bobbin thread by using your foot control. With the presser foot down, hold the needle thread as before. Step on the foot control and take one stitch. Raise the presser foot. Using your needle thread, pull up the bobbin thread. Place the threads under the foot and to the back of the machine. Close the bobbin door and accessory tray. You're now ready to begin sewing. It is possible to wind bobbins even when the expression is fully threaded. Raise your presser foot. Guide the needle thread underneath the presser foot and up through the right thread slot. Place the thread from left to right through the take-up lever. Make sure that the take-up lever is at its highest position. Place the thread under the silver thread guide just before the bobbin winder. Wrap the thread tail clockwise around the bobbin. Push the bobbin to the right. Step on the foot control to begin winding. When the bobbin is full, the winding will stop automatically. Your Expression 2024 features the exclusive built-in Integrated Dual Feed, or IDT. Unlike a walking foot attachment, this built-in feed actually walks at the exact same stitch length, speed, and direction as the bottom feed dogs. This translates to perfectly smooth seams that begin and end precisely. Your integrated dual feed can be used with any foot that has a cutout in the back. Make sure the presser foot is raised. To engage, simply press down on the ridged area on the back until it clicks into position. To disengage, grasp the integrated dual feed, pull down and slightly away from you, and release. Fold a piece of medium-weight woven fabric in half and position under the presser foot. Select a straight stitch, stitch 1, with the direct selection keys located on the right front of your expression. The stitch length and width are now pre-programmed and can be seen in the expression window. The proper presser foot for each stitch is shown on the lid. The number, such as 0, corresponds to the number found on top of the presser foot. Your thread tension dial on the left-hand side of your expression. Normal tension is between 3 and 5. The lower the number, the less tension on your thread. Lower your presser foot and sew a seam. Touch the reverse button to back tack and secure the beginning of your seam. When finished, touch the reverse button again, back tack, and secure the end of your seam. Use the thread cutter that is on the left back of your expression to cut your threads. Adjust the stitch length by touching the stitch length button on the front of your expression. Change the needle position by touching the width. Choose from 13 needle positions. Sew another seam. To create a basting stitch, lengthen your stitch to 6.0 millimeters. This long stitch length is easy to remove, perfect for temporary seams, or to use as running stitches for gathering. Use the direct stitch selection buttons to choose a zigzag stitch, stitch 3. Refer to your stitch lid to see the recommended foot. Using a woven, medium weight fabric, sew the zigzag stitch. Use your zigzag for finishing fabric edges and other techniques, like gathering, over cord or satin stitching. To do a beautiful satin stitch for applique, adjust your stitch length and width to sew a beautiful satin stitch appropriate for your fabric weight and type. Change to presser foot 2. Use presser foot 1 on your 2014. To remove the presser foot on your expression, press up on the front of the foot while at the same time pressing down on the back of the foot. Presser foot 2 has a groove on the underside for smooth feeding over decorative and satin stitches. Also, presser foot 2 does not have a cutout at the back. This means you must disengage your dual feed before snapping on presser foot 2. To attach the presser foot, place the foot directly beneath the sewing foot holder. Align the pins on the foot with the curved cutout. Lower the presser foot, and the foot will snap into place. Adjust the tension to a lower number, approximately 3, for a more beautiful satin stitch. Fuse a simple shape to a square of medium weight woven fabric. Place stabilizer underneath your bottom fabric. Stabilizers add body to your fabric for beautiful decorative sewing. To create a taper satin stitch, adjust the stitch width to 0 and stitch length to 0.3 millimeters. Begin sewing. As you sew, increase the stitch width up to 6 millimeters. Sew until the column is as long as you wish. Now, decrease the stitch width back to 0 and stop sewing. Choose stitch 12 to create a left needle taper satin stitch. Set the stitch width to 0 and length to 0.3 millimeters. Begin sewing. As you sew, increase the stitch width up to 6 millimeters. Simply touch the mirror image button to sew a right needle taper. Seam and overcasting sews and finishes your seam in one easy step, making your sewing faster and easier. Stitches 7 and 15 are great for this technique. Choose stitch number 7 with the direct stitch selection buttons. Snap on presser foot 3. The pin in the center and the guide on presser foot 3 will help support your fabric edge as you sew. Turn the screw on the side of the foot to position the guide to the right. On your 2024, engage your IDT or integrated dual feed. Cut a neckline from a piece of knit fabric. Fold a piece of ribbing in half lengthwise. Align the raw edge of the ribbing with the raw edge of the neckline. Position the raw edges against the guide of the foot. As you sew, stretch your ribbing to fit the neck edge. Try other overcasting stitches. Your expression has 2 blind hem stitch options for sewing invisible blind hems on any type of fabric. Stitch 5 for woven fabrics and stitch 6 for stretch knits. Select stitch 5 for a blind hem on woven fabric. Thread your expression with thread matching the fabric. Make sure presser foot 3 is snapped on. Press the hem under to the desired width and pin or baste. Fold the hem back, exposing 3/8 inch of the wrong side of the hem facing. Place the fabric under the presser foot so the guide of the foot is against the inner fold of the hem. The 3/8 inch extension is positioned under the guide and pin of the foot. Stitch from the wrong side of the hem edge, making sure the swing of the needle barely pierces the fold of the hemline. Use the adjusting screw or adjust the width of the stitch as needed to achieve an invisible hem on the right side of the garment. The blind hem stitch will create a hem that is invisible on the right side of the fabric. Your PFAFF expression makes sewing trouble-free buttonholes a reality. Program the first buttonhole and your expression will precisely sew the same buttonhole every time. Choose the basic buttonhole, stitch 9. Disengage your IDT. Snap on presser foot 5, the sliding buttonhole foot. Slide the buttonhole guide into place from the back of the machine. Adjust the size of the buttonhole by touching the pattern length button. The pattern length button is in the middle set of plus and minus buttons. This allows you to select the size of buttonhole you wish to sew, up to 30 millimeters. Place a small piece of tearaway stabilizer under the area to reinforce your buttonhole. Slide the buttonhole foot fully toward you. Begin sewing. Your PFAFF expression sewing machine actually counts the number of stitches as it sews the column of your buttonhole, then repeats that number of stitches for the other side. Your PFAFF expression sews precise, beautiful buttonholes on any fabric weight or type, perfect every time. To change the width of your buttonhole, use the plus or minus buttons at the top of the expression window. Your expression also allows you to program your buttonhole length yourself. Choose buttonhole 9 again. Touch the reverse button. Notice the word MAN for manual in the expression window. Sew the right side of the buttonhole the desired length. Touch the reverse button, and your expression will bar tack and begin sewing the left side of the buttonhole. As your expression gets toward the end of the buttonhole, it will slow down. Touch the reverse button when the left and right sides of the buttonhole line up. The final bar tack will be placed. Now, Auto will show in the window. Your buttonhole is now programmed. Use the button sewing program, Stitch 0, to sew on your 2-hole or 4-hole button. Choose Stitch 0. Snap off the presser foot. Remove the buttonhole guide. Drop your feed dogs by swinging your accessory tray to the left and opening your bobbin door. The feed dog lever is located directly next to your bobbin case. Slide the feed dog lever to the right. Close the bobbin door and accessory tray. Lower the presser foot onto the button. Most buttons have a consistent distance between the holes. To be sure, use the hand wheel and line up the needle swing by turning the hand wheel until you've made one complete stitch. Now, step on the foot control and let your expression do the rest. The button sewing program will stitch 12 stitches and then tie off and stop automatically.
After you have sewn on all of your buttons, remember to raise your feed dogs by opening the accessory tray and bobbin door. Then, slide the feed dog drop lever to the left.
Your PFAFF expression has a wonderful selection of decorative stitches. Your expression 2024 has 47 stitches, and your expression 2014 has 31 stitches. Choose the heart stitch, stitch 28 on the 2024, stitch 23 on the 2014. Change to presser foot 2. Rethread your expression with a decorative thread in the top. Place stabilizer underneath the fabric. Begin sewing. Sew several hearts. Touch the Mirror Image button. Sew several more hearts. Notice the heart is now facing the opposite way, mirrored. Now choose the Fun Cross Stitch. Stitch 20 on your expression. Sew a row of cross stitches. Try all of the beautiful decorative stitches on your expression. Your expression has stitches made especially to create a nostalgia or hem-stitched look. Use a wing needle and lightweight thread in both the top and bobbin. The wing needle, along with stitches 22 and 23 on the 2024 or 18 on the 2014, create large holes in woven fabrics, resembling hand-pulled stitches. To change the needle, turn the needle clamp screw toward you with your right hand while holding the needle with the left hand. Remove the needle. When inserting any needle, make sure the flat side of the needle is toward the back. Tighten the needle clamp screw. Thread the top and bobbin as before. When using the wing needle, the needle threader cannot be used. Choose stitch number 23 or 18. Use presser foot 1. Place lightweight stabilizer behind the fabric. Begin sewing. See the beautiful nostalgia look created by the wing needle. PFAFF's exclusive IDT is great for quilting through all layers and thicknesses of fabric, batting, and backing. Engage the integrated dual feed. Choose stitch 1 and snap on foot 0. Place the quilt layers under the presser foot. Use the extra high lift to make placement easy. Sew along the pieced seams. Try other stitches to add a special touch to your quilt. Stitches 8, 18, 27, and 33 on the 2024, or 8 and 22 on the 2014. Stitches 11 and 19 add a hand look to your quilts. Choose stitch 11. Rethread the top of your expression with monofilament thread. Thread the bobbin with the thread you want to show. Adjust the tension higher, approximately 7, so that the bobbin thread will be pulled to the top. Test sew on fabric scraps to get the proper results. Choose stitch 19. Change the stitch length to 3 and stitch width to 1. Test your stitch before actually sewing on your project and adjust it to your liking. Adjust the tension to normal. Sew along a finished applique edge. Let the vertical stitch follow along the edge of the applique and the small horizontal stitch catch into the applique fabric. To assist in your quilting, PFAFF has created the optional Quilter's Toolbox. The large quilter's table makes working with large quilts easy. The guide grip will make your stippling simple. The free motion guide foot has markings so you can easily guide your free motion sewing. Snap on the 1/4-inch piecing foot and use the straight stitch plate for perfect piecing. This combination can also be used for stitch-in-the-ditch quilting. Use the quilt needles for precise stitching, always. To learn more quilting techniques, refer to your instruction manual or visit your local PFAFF dealer. Your PFAFF Expression 2024 comes with the rolled hem foot, presser foot 7. To use the rolled hem foot, make sure your expression is threaded with the same thread in the top and bobbin. The bobbin thread is what will show on the top. Snap on foot 7. Choose stitch 1 or 3. Take a few stitches at the beginning of the hem. Pull the thread tails into the whorl of the foot. Lower the presser foot. Begin sewing. Hold the edge of the fabric so that it turns into the foot, creating the hem. PFAFF has many optional accessories to increase your creativity. Let's take a look at some essential presser feet that will enhance your sewing pleasure. Insert a 2 or 2.5 millimeter twin needle. Thread the top of your expression with 2 spools of thread. Use the extra spool pin for the second spool. Use the same threading path as for a single spool, except when you get to the tension disc. Place 1 thread on the left side of the center metal piece and 1 thread on the right side of the center metal piece. Then, place 1 thread on the left guide above the needle and 1 on the right side above the needle. The needle threader will not work for a twin needle. Snap on the 5 or 7 groove cording foot. Choose stitch 1. Raise the tension slightly to create a higher tuck. Sew. When you finish one tuck, align that tuck in one of the left grooves of the foot. This will keep your sewing straight. Make as many tucks as you wish. When creating pin tucks, make all of the tucks before you cut out your pattern piece. There are 2 optional specialty feet to make it easier to see your applique. The transparent applique foot is small and allows for full view of the seam. The open-toe applique foot has a cutout for the IDT. The front is open so you can see your stitching. Use the couching braiding foot for beautiful embellishments with heavy decorative threads, cords, and yarns. Place the heavy cord in the guide at the front of the foot and bring it under the foot to the back. Snap on the couching braiding foot. Choose stitch 3 for simple couching. Adjust the width of the stitch so it just covers the cord. Place stabilizer under the fabric for best results. Lower the presser foot and sew. Try different decorative stitches to sew over the top of the cord. Open decorative stitches work the best because they show off the cord. Thread from 1 to 9 different cords through the 7/9 hole cord foot. Tie a knot in the cords at the back so they will not pull out of the foot. Snap on the foot. Make sure the knot is in the back of the foot. Choose utility or decorative stitches that stitch left to right over the cords so the cords will be secured. Try stitch 4 or 8. Lower the presser foot and sew. The fringe foot creates a raised or looped effect with a zigzag stitch. Snap on the fringe foot. Choose stitch 3. Change the length of the stitch to between 0.4 to 0.2 millimeters, depending upon the fabric and thread. Adjust the width to between 3.0 to 6.0 millimeters to create the desired effect. Begin sewing. Practice curves and turns with this foot. For the latest news about optional accessories, toolboxes, or notions, visit your local PFAFF dealer. This quick start video is intended to help you learn the basic features on your new PFAFF expression and to introduce you to all the great sewing features built into your new PFAFF. Visit your authorized PFAFF dealer to learn even more about your expression, including project classes, embroidery, accessories, and quality service. You will soon discover this is just the beginning of your creative sewing experience. Check out the PFAFF website at www.pfaff.com for important updates and project ideas. Thank you for purchasing your PFAFF expression, and we know you've discovered a great way of sewing.